A husband and wife make a reckless choice. They force open the electric fence that separates the villagers' settlement from the thick forest beyond it. Mahler begs them not to touch it, but Charlotte refuses to listen because their daughter, Josephine, has disappeared on the other side. Mads even threatens Mahler with a weapon and orders him to stay still, even though Mahler keeps warning them that something terrible lives behind that fence. Moments later, Charlotte comes back with Josephine, and her face says it all: pure panic. That is when they all sense it. Something unnatural is sprinting straight toward them. Mahler immediately drags Mads and the others out of the forest and slams the electrified gate shut, knowing that if they were even a second too late, they would not have made it out alive. So what exactly is being hidden behind that fence? This is Elves. Once a week, Mahler brings a cow into the heart of the forest. The electric fence stands as the boundary between the wilderness and the people. Out there, Mahler ties the cow to a post and leaves without looking back. Not long after, a pack of strange creatures rush in and devour it. Then the story shifts to a family heading out for a Christmas holiday. There is Mads, the father, Charlotte, the mother, Casper, their son, and Josephine, their daughter. They are renting a house on a remote island, and the only way to get there is by boat since the island sits in the middle of a lake. When they arrive at the dock, a woman tells them to stay close to the roadside. Mads assumes she is simply warning them not to get lost. As they travel, the family cannot help but admire the breathtaking forest around them. This place looks untouched, like humans barely ever set foot here. Partway down the road, Mads suddenly jolts as the car hits something. Everyone gets out to check, and Mads notices a strange black substance smeared on the vehicle. He assumes it is just road tar and decides to move on. But Josephine spots more of that same substance down in a ditch and wants to take a closer look. Before she can, a local man appears and firmly stops her from going near it. He warns that an electric fence is nearby, and it is extremely dangerous. Mads quickly apologizes, and they continue on their way. After a long drive, they finally reach the rental house. The moment they step inside, Casper points out there is no signal on the island. Charlotte says that is the whole point. A real vacation means enjoying nature and forgetting about electronics for a while. But Josephine is the curious type, and she immediately wants to explore. Not far from the house, she finds a barn used for storage and excitedly tells her mom. Charlotte shuts it down fast, scolding her not to touch or take anything. They are here to stay a few nights, relax, and soak in the scenery, nothing more. While the family is sitting together, Josephine admits she has a bad feeling. She is convinced they hit something earlier on the road. The thought that it might be injured bothers her deeply. When she tries to go back and check, Charlotte and Mads immediately stop her. Charlotte reminds her that the man they met earlier clearly warned them not to go near the ditch, so they cannot just wander around wherever they want. Later, Charlotte takes Casper to the nearest store. When they arrive at the small settlement, Charlotte is surprised to see how few people actually live on the island. There are so few residents that you could almost count them on one hand. She asks Casper to buy vegetables to stock up on food for their stay. Behind the store, Charlotte meets an elderly woman named Karen, who turns out to be the leader of the island. Inside the shop, Casper meets a young woman named Liv, who is Karen's granddaughter. Casper is instantly drawn to her and asks her out, though Liv initially turns him down. After realizing he seems sincere and kind, she changes her mind and tells him to meet her at the dock at sunrise. That night, Mads invites Josephine to join the family for dinner, but she refuses, saying she is not hungry. As soon as her father leaves, she quietly sneaks out and heads back to the ditch. Curiosity gets the better of her. When she reaches the area, she follows the trail of black liquid that was stuck to their car. After searching for a while, she finally finds something she has never seen before, a strange creature lying there injured. Feeling sorry for it, she decides to take it home. What she does not realize is that a terrifying adult creature is watching her from the shadows. Josephine carries the small creature into the barn, convinced that it is harmless and that she can take care of it. Meanwhile, at the dock, Liv and Casper are enjoying their quiet date. Liv confesses that she has always dreamed of leaving the island and seeing the city, since she has never left this place her entire life. Casper quickly offers to take her with him when his family returns home. Then Liv notices a flock of birds swirling strangely in the sky, as if signaling something is wrong. Without explaining much, she cuts the date short and rushes back home. In the village, Karen also sees the unusual movement of birds. Immediately, she orders Muller and Andreas to bring another cow into the forest. Something has changed. Back at the house, Mads suggests they cut down a tree to use as a Christmas tree. Josephine refuses to join them, saying she would rather stay inside and read. Once the others leave, she returns to the barn to check on the creature. At first, it is nowhere to be found, but she soon spots it. She tries feeding it an apple, thinking it might be hungry. The creature instantly rejects it. Realizing it is not a vegetarian, she offers it some bacon instead, and this time it eagerly eats. At the same time, near the ditch, Muller discovers something disturbing: human footprints close to the electric fence. Alarmed, he tells Andreas to continue bringing the cow into the forest, while he investigates who has been approaching the restricted area. At one point, after Mads finishes cutting down a tree, Karen happens to pass by and immediately reprimands him. She reminds him that the island is a protected nature reserve, and no one is allowed to cut trees without permission. Mads quickly apologizes and promises it will not happen again. Back in the barn, Josephine still cannot believe what she has found. She keeps staring at the strange creature, wondering what it really is. Suddenly, Casper shows up and scolds her for sneaking off without telling anyone. As they are about to leave, Casper catches a clear glimpse of the creature and freezes in fear. It looks nothing like anything he has ever seen. Josephine explains that it is the same thing they hit with the car earlier, and that it is injured. She insists she just wants to help it recover. Casper is not convinced. He decides their parents need to know about this. Josephine immediately begs him not to tell anyone. Outside the house, Charlotte overhears them talking and steps out, curious about what is going on. When she asks Casper what they were discussing, he brushes it off and says he was just lecturing Josephine for sneaking out again. Later inside the house, Josephine thanks her brother for keeping her secret. Casper agrees, but on one condition. If she wants to visit the creature again, she has to bring him along. No more going alone. After dinner, Casper tells his mom he wants to explore the area around the house. Instead, he and Josephine head straight back to the barn. This time, Casper asks what exactly this creature is. Josephine admits she has no idea, since she has never seen anything like it before. Since it does not have a name, she decides to call it Kiko. Meanwhile, Andreas has already brought a cow into the forest, but something feels off. The atmosphere is different, heavier than usual. At the same time, Muller discovers that Josephine has taken one of the forest creature's young. Panic sets in immediately. He grabs his walkie-talkie and urgently tells Andreas to get out of the forest at once. One of the creature's children is missing, and that means the adults will start searching. These creatures are known for one thing. When one of their own disappears, they hunt relentlessly to get it back. Before Andreas can escape, he is attacked and killed. When Muller hears only silence on the other end of the radio, he realizes Andreas is gone. Elsewhere, Liv is with her grandmother and questions why they do not simply leave the island. The creatures clearly put everyone's lives at risk. Karen explains that their family and the villagers before them have been given a responsibility passed down for generations. They are meant to protect these creatures. Not long after, Muller arrives with terrible news. Andreas is dead, and it happened because the visiting family took one of the forest creature's young. Back at the barn, Josephine brings Casper with her to check on Kiko. While they are there, Casper stumbles upon the body of a cat that looks like it has been partially eaten. Instantly, he is convinced that Kiko is responsible. That is enough for him. He tells Josephine they need to return the creature to where it came from, because this thing is clearly dangerous. But Josephine refuses. In her mind, Kiko is not a monster. It is her friend. Elsewhere, the news of Andreas' death spreads through the village. Karen gathers the residents for a prayer meeting. Some of them question how this could have happened, especially since they have never failed to deliver the cows on time. As the leader of the village, Karen does her best to calm everyone down. She promises that Andreas will be the last victim and that no more lives will be lost. Meanwhile, Josephine starts thinking even bigger. She wants to take Kiko back to the city with her and raise it there. Casper strongly objects. They know nothing about how this creature grows or what it might become. For all they know, it could turn into something that puts their lives at risk. Still, Josephine ignores his warning and grabs more meat to feed Kiko. Not long after, Karen arrives at their house and invites Charlotte and her family to a dinner gathering. Charlotte happily accepts. She calls the kids and they all head over to Karen's house together. Karen serves them a generous meal, and Mads and Charlotte thank her for the warm welcome. During dinner, Josephine asks about the electric fence surrounding the forest. Karen explains that many years ago, there was a lumber factory on the island that cut down trees illegally. The workers were later found dead. According to the official story, toxic waste from the factory was to blame. But that is not the truth. Karen is lying to protect the island's secret. In reality, those workers were hunted down by creatures like Kiko's kind. After a while, Josephine excuses herself to use the restroom. As she walks past one of the rooms, she overhears Muller calling for Karen. Soon after, Karen joins him. Muller says he needs more time to search for a creature inside the barn. Hearing this, Josephine immediately panics and runs back home to check on Kiko. At the same time, Liv pulls Casper aside to talk privately. She finally reveals the island's secret. The forest is home to beings they call forest fairies, but they are nothing like the kind and gentle creatures from fairy tales. When they grow up, they become ruthless predators that hunt without mercy. Liv tells Casper that the baby needs to be returned. Her grandmother already knows that Josephine is the one who took it. Casper initially laughs it off, thinking it sounds like a made-up story. But Liv is completely serious. Andreas is dead, and it happened because Josephine took one of the forest creatures young. Back at the barn, Josephine rushes inside to find Kiko. But before she can react, Muller appears from behind and captures the creature. Without hesitation, he takes Kiko and heads straight toward the forest. Meanwhile, Karen pulls Mads and Charlotte aside and warns them that Josephine has taken something she never should have touched. When Charlotte asks what she means, Karen tells her to ask her own daughter. Then they realize Josephine never came back after excusing herself. Panic sets in, and they begin searching for her. A villager mentions seeing a young girl running in a certain direction. Thinking Josephine may have already gone home, Charlotte rushes back to the rental house. At the same time, Mahler reaches the forest and releases Kiko. He tries to calm the forest creatures, making it clear that no one intended to kidnap the child and that it was all a misunderstanding. But what he does not know is that Josephine has secretly slipped past the fence, determined to find Kiko herself. Her curiosity pulls her deeper into the forest. Back at the house, Charlotte questions Casper about what he has been hiding. Casper finally admits that Josephine took one of the creatures young from the forest. Mads smiles at first, thinking it is just a joke. He insists that these so-called forest fairies are not real, but Casper repeats it firmly. Josephine really did take one. When they cannot find her anywhere inside the house or the barn, Casper suggests they search near the fence. As soon as they arrive, he spots Josephine's bicycle lying nearby. Charlotte immediately fears that her daughter may have gone inside the restricted area. Since the gate is locked, she tells Casper to go ask Karen for help. Inside the forest, Josephine discovers the abandoned lumber factory that Karen mentioned earlier. She calls out for Kiko while moving from room to room, hoping to find it. Suddenly, she comes face to face with something that looks like Kiko, but much larger, almost human-sized. Shocked, she quickly hides. Back at the fence, Charlotte struggles to get through the locked gate. Mahler arrives and angrily orders them to leave. Mads refuses, insisting that his daughter is inside. When Mahler refuses to unlock it, Mads tries to shut off the power and climb over. Instantly, Mahler points a gun at him and warns him not to cut the electricity. If the power goes out, everyone's lives will be at risk. Meanwhile, Casper reaches Karen's house and explains that his sister has gone beyond the fence. He begs for help to find her. Karen reminds him that she warned their family not to go near the fence, yet they ignored her. She apologizes, but says she cannot help. Back in the forest, Josephine believes it is finally safe to leave. But out of nowhere, a forest creature lunges at her. Acting on instinct, she grabs a chainsaw and manages to kill it before it can kill her. Outside the fence, Charlotte desperately begs Mahler to open the gate because her daughter is still inside. In a brief moment of distraction, Mads lunges for Mahler's gun. The struggle causes the weapon to fire, hitting the power line and cutting the electricity to the fence. Mahler falls and ends up caught in a trap, badly injuring his leg. Deep in the forest, Josephine is terrified and frantically searches for a way out. At the same time, Charlotte forces the gate open and rushes in to find her daughter. Elsewhere, as Casper prepares to leave, Liv runs after him and insists on helping. Even though Casper's family caused the chaos, she cannot just stand by and do nothing. Lost in the woods, Josephine suddenly sees Kiko again. The small creature seems to guide her toward a way out. After running for what feels like forever, she finally reunites with her mother. When Charlotte sees Kiko, she reacts instantly, throwing sand at it to drive it away. She grabs Josephine and pulls her toward the exit. Behind them, dozens of forest creatures give chase, trying to catch them. Somehow, mother and daughter manage to escape just in time. Later that night, Liv and Casper arrive near the fence and are shocked to see that part of it is damaged. Realizing the forest creatures may have gotten out, Liv urges Casper to warn the villagers immediately. Meanwhile, Mahler gathers Charlotte's family and takes them to Karen. He explains that the electricity is no longer running through the fence, which means the creatures could break free and start hunting people. Karen is furious. She blames Charlotte and her family for bringing disaster upon the village, putting everyone's lives at risk. In the forest, Liv senses that the creatures are tracking them. She tells Casper they should continue on foot. At night, the creatures rely more on their hearing since their eyesight is weak. After walking a long distance, Liv suggests they rest and wait for dawn. During their quiet moment together, Casper asks why Liv does not simply leave the island, especially since it is so dangerous. Liv explains that her grandmother has always taught her that the villagers have a duty to protect the forest creatures. If outsiders discover them, they would likely hunt them down and drive them to extinction. The next morning, Charlotte apologizes to Karen and accepts responsibility for everything her family has done. Karen organizes a plan. Mahler and Mads will repair the power line, while she and Charlotte will search for Liv and Casper. As daylight breaks, Liv continues her journey to warn the villagers. Meanwhile, Karen and Charlotte arrive at the rental house, only to realize Liv and Casper are not there. Suddenly, they hear the sound of forest creatures approaching. Karen quickly ushers Charlotte and Josephine into the barn to hide. At the same time, Mahler is gathering tools to fix the power line when he notices one of the forest creatures staring at him. He tells Mads to leave immediately. The creature looks terrifying, and without hesitation, it attacks Mahler. Back at the barn, one of the forest creatures suddenly lunges at Josephine while she is hiding. Karen steps in just in time and saves her. But something feels wrong. Karen starts to wonder why the creatures seem to be targeting Josephine specifically. In another part of the village, Liv discovers the bodies of two dead residents. The sight completely breaks her. She cannot understand why the forest creatures are attacking so violently. Inside the barn, Karen demands to know what Josephine has done. The creatures are clearly after her. Josephine admits that she killed one of them earlier, a large one almost the size of a human. The moment Karen hears this, her expression changes. She explains that the creature Josephine killed was not just any member of the group, it was one of their elders. Now the forest creatures will seek revenge. Charlotte immediately defends her daughter, insisting this was never her intention. But Karen is firm. She believes this happened because of Josephine's curiosity. If she had not interfered, none of this would have occurred. According to Karen, there is only one solution. Josephine must take responsibility. When Josephine asks what that means, Karen leads her away, leaving Charlotte behind. She tells Josephine that the creatures are searching for her, and she must go to the forest. Then, with a heavy heart, Karen apologizes and sedates her. When Josephine wakes up, she finds herself deep in the forest, chained in place. Karen holds her close and makes it clear that this is the responsibility Josephine must bear. Meanwhile, Mads is driving when he sees Charlotte walking alone. She tells him that Karen has taken their daughter. At the same time, Liv returns to search for her grandmother and instead finds Mahler, who has just survived a brutal fight with one of the forest creatures. Mahler wastes no time. He gathers Liv and Casper and tells them they need to repair the damaged fence. Soon after, Mads and Charlotte arrive, demanding to know where Karen is. When they learn she took Josephine into the forest, Mahler is stunned. He quickly instructs Mads to focus on restoring the power line, while he, Liv, and Casper head inside the fence to find Karen. Deep in the forest, Kiko appears beside Josephine, as if trying to help her. Moments later, Mahler, Liv, and Casper arrive in a vehicle. When Kiko sees them, it runs off into the trees. As Liv reaches for a spare key to free Josephine, Karen suddenly steps out and points a gun at them, refusing to let anyone release her. She believes Josephine has committed an unforgivable act. Liv argues that Josephine is still just a child and deserves a chance to live. Just as Karen is about to pull the trigger, Kiko leaps from the side and bites her. Almost instantly, a full-grown forest creature emerges and attacks Karen as well. Mahler shouts for everyone to leave immediately. Before they escape, Josephine takes a moment to say goodbye to Kiko. She knows she cannot stay, but she is grateful for the time they shared. As they flee, Karen is left behind and devoured by the forest creatures. As they race through the forest trying to escape, one of the forest creatures suddenly slams into the vehicle Mahler is driving. The impact nearly sends them off course. When Liv is almost dragged away during the chaos, Casper quickly pulls her back to safety, with a creature blocking his view through the windshield. Muller makes a split-second decision and crashes the car straight into a tree to shake it off. Somehow, despite everything, they all survive. Once they finally make it back past the fence, Mads restores the electricity, sealing the barrier once again. With the power flowing, the creatures are contained, at least for now. Exhausted and shaken, they return home. The next morning, Charlotte and her family apologize to Muller for everything their actions cause. Muller accepts their apology. There is no celebration, only relief that the worst is over. Before leaving the island, Casper asks Liv to come back to the city with him. He even offers her his room if she decides to go. After everything that has happened, Liv makes her choice. She decides to leave the island behind and start something new with Casper. As the family prepares to depart, none of them notice a small figure quietly hiding beneath the car. Kiko has followed them. So the moral of the story is, if there is an electric fence and secret cow sacrifices, do not adopt the forest baby.